What if I told you that the most dangerous band in the world didn't burn out or fade away, but ended up selling as the literal trash from 20 years ago? They spent decades building a legacy on blood, sweat, Jack Daniels, only to trade it all in for a couple of polished up demos and a stadium tour that cost more than a mortgage payment. Here's how the appetite for destruction turned into a hunger for leftovers.
Like, subscribe, thank you.
So it was supposed to be the moment, December 2025. The rumors had been swirling for months. Slash was doing interviews, looking cool behind the sunglasses, dropping hints, Duff being Duff, solid as a rock, and Axl, well, Axl was quiet, which usually means something big is coming. The machine was revving up. A massive 2026 world tour was announced. Stadiums, arenas, the works. And alongside it, the promise of new music. Real new music. Not just another remix or a live track. 2 brand new singles dropped to show the world that Guns N' Roses still has teeth. You gotta understand the stakes here. It had been years since the reunion. The Not in This Lifetime tour had made an obscene amount of money. They had proven they could show up on time. They proved that they could stand on the same stage without killing each other. But the one thing they hadn't proved, the one thing every real fan was waiting for, was whether they could still create. Could Guns N' Roses still walk into a room, plug in, and scare the living hell out of everybody? So the date hits, December 3rd. The files drop. Atlas and Nothin. You put on those headphones, you turn it up, you're ready to get your face ripped off. You are ready for the danger again. Hell, you're ready for the snake pit. And you press play on Atlas. And the first thing that hits you is not a riff, it isn't a scream, it's a feeling of confusion. Sure, yeah, there's a guitar sound. It's Slash. You know that tone anywhere. And it's spot on, thick, melodic, doing exactly what Slash does. But what the hell is he playing over? The drums are there, but your heart is sinking. Doesn't sound like Frank beating the skins in a sweating room. Doesn't sound like Steven Adler's swing or Matt Sorum's thunder. It sounds flat, processed. Sounds like a computer program trying to remember what a rock drum kit sounded like in '93. It has that distinct plastic thud that screams Pro Tools instead of Sound City. And then the song actually starts moving and you realize what they're doing. They're trying to be heavy. They're trying to do this mid-tempo grinding stomping thing. It's got a rolling riff that feels like it's trying to muscle its way through a brick wall, but it keeps bouncing off. It feels suspiciously like they're trying to do a little bit of grunge, or post-grunge. Yeah, post-grunge. At best, it's even kind of more AOR at this point. Atlas sounds like a bad Soundgarden B-side from '96. It's trying to be outshined, but it lacks the dirt. It doesn't have that grind, it's just clean and safe. It's dad rock with a distortion appeal. And then Axl comes in. And this is the moment where you really want to root for the guy. I mean, you really do. You want him to unleash that banshee wail that used to shatter glass. You at least want the rasp, or the venom. And what you get is a struggle. Sounds thin and layered. You hear the production working overtime, layering all this stuff on top of another. You got this vocal track that's just kind of compressed in there to create the illusion of power, and he's pushing. You could hear him straining, and the menace definitely is not there. Sounds like a guy doing an impression of Axl Rose in a karaoke bar, and not a particularly winning one either. The lyrics land with a thud. It's the standard me against the world stuff, but without the specific biting wit that made it so easy or you could be mine so damn lethal. Feels generic. Feels like it was written by a committee. Or worse, written by a guy sitting alone in a mansion in Malibu in 2008, angry at the world but completely disconnected from it. Because that's the dirty little secret, isn't it? As you listen to Atlas plod along, trying desperately to be a rocker, you realize you've heard this vibe before. You heard it on Chinese Democracy, the mid-tempo slog, the industrial light production, over-processed vocals. It's not a new song, it's a zombie. It's a track that was likely cut during those endless, expensive, lonely sessions Axl did 15 years ago, doing battle with rappers and smelling chicken poop in a coop, and now they've just pasted Slash and Duff onto it. It's a Frankenstein monster. You can almost hear the seams. You can hear where Slash is trying to inject some life, groove, and humanity into that track that was built on a grid. Slash is playing his ass off, throwing in those fills, ripping a killer solo that's technically right on the mark, but it feels like he's playing in a vacuum, soloing over a backing track. There's no interplay, there's no band in the room. It's just files being emailed back and forth. But Atlas is just a warm-up. You shake it off, you think, okay, maybe the rocker didn't land. Maybe they're saving the magic for the next one. It's a ballad. Axl was always king of the power ballad. November Rain, Estranged, Don't Cry, Sweet Child of Mine. Now let's see what Nothin has to offer. So you switch tracks and Nothin begins. Immediately you're transported, Not to a stadium in 92, not to the Sunset Strip in 87. No, you were transported to a dentist office waiting room in 1976. Starts with this bouncy, floaty piano. Not the dark, brooding piano of November Rain. It's jaunty. Sounds like a bad Elton John outtake. Sounds like something you'd hear on AM radio while driving a station wagon to soccer practice. It's trying so hard to be emotive, but it just comes off as schmaltzy. And the production here is even worse. Keyboards sound cheap, like those preset strings you get on a Casio keyboard that you buy at Best Buy. They wash over the track in the syrupy glaze that drowns out any potential grit. And Axl's voice on this one, man, it's tough. It's going for that clean high register, kind of patience vibe, but the control just isn't there. It's wobbling. It sounds fragile and not in a cool, vulnerable way. In a is he gonna make the note way, singing about love and loss and ending with the desperate plea, without you, I'll never make it. On paper, that's a classic GNR lyric. In execution, it sounds like a plea for the song to end. And again, Slash is there. He's trying. Steps in for a solo around the 3-minute mark, and for a few seconds, you remember why you love this band. His tone is weeping and soulful. People comparing it to Pearl Jam's Yellow Ledbetter, which is a compliment to Slash, but an insult to the song. Because Mike McCready at least had something to work with in Yellow Ledbetter. He kind of fit in with the entire thing. Slash's solo, again, is killer, but it feels like a diamond dropped into a pile of shit. It's beautiful, but you can't save the smell. Song drags on for 4 minutes and doesn't build to that chaotic climax like November Rain. Doesn't have the moody shifts of Estranged, just kind of floats, exists. It occupies space and then it ends. And you sit there in the silence and the realization hits you like a brick. These aren't new songs, they're scraps. These are the things that weren't good enough to make the cut on Chinese Democracy, an album that took 15 years and $13 million to make and still managed to be the biggest thud in rock history. Think about that. Axl Rose, the perfectionist, the guy who scrapped entire albums because the snare sound wasn't right. The guy who delayed tours because his psychic told him to. He decided these songs weren't good enough for Chinese Democracy. But now there's a stadium tour to sell. Now that reunion hype is starting to fade away, they need a headline, maybe. Suddenly these scraps are quote-unquote new singles. And it's insulting to the fans who waited in line for Appetite. Come on, bring the power back, guys. It's insulting to the legacy of the band. It's insulting to Slash and Duff, who are reduced to being session musicians on their own band's tracks. Could see it now, Slash sitting in his home studio getting a wee transfer link from Axl's management, pouring a coffee and slapping down a solo over a track Axl laid down in 2008 when Slash wasn't even talking to him. Atlas was conceived during the Chinese Democracy session. That's a fact. Nothing comes from the same era. These are not songs born from the rekindled friendship of Axl and Slash. These aren't songs written in a room where the guys are jamming, sweating, looking at each other in the eye and creating magic. These are products. They're content. Caram Costanzo produced them, the same guy who did Chinese Democracy. That's why the drums sound like that. And the vocals. It's the same sonic palette that alienated everybody back then. But now they just cranked the Slash dial in the mix to 11 and hoped that we wouldn't notice. Slash saves everything, but we're not sure if he could save this one. The reaction online was immediate and brutal. You check the forums, the comments, it's a friggin' bloodbath. Sounds like AI-generated dad rock. Did they record the drums on an iPad? Slash deserves better than this. Of course he does. But the worst part isn't anger, it's indifference. There are people out there, the diehards, the apologists, who are trying to spin it. Oh, it shows two sides of their personality. It's great to hear Axl experimenting. Slash's tone is amazing. Yes, Slash's tone is amazing. To the other two, just stop. I'm talking about Guns N' Roses. We're not talking about Maroon 5. We're talking about the band that brought us Welcome to the Jungle. The band that terrified parents and made the establishment clutch its pearls. We're talking about the band that was so dangerous people thought they might actually die at their shows. And now, they're releasing a bouncy piano ballad that sounds like a sitcom theme song, and a rocker that sounds like a royalty-free track if you use it in a truck commercial. The Atlas attempt at grunge is particularly painful. It's like watching your dad try to use slang, it just doesn't fit. GNR was never grunge. They're the antidote to hair metal, but they're also the swagger, blues, punk. They weren't this plodding, dour, mid-tempo sludge, trying to pivot to a quote-unquote harder edge sound. Now, using a song written nearly 20 years ago just highlights how lost Axl was during those wilderness years. He was chasing trends that already died. And releasing it now in 2025? Well beyond dated, it's archaeological. And that edge, I mean, it's not even just dull, it's been sanded down, polished, wrapped in bubble wrap. The danger of GNR came from the friction. from the fact that Izzy was playing loose and Adler was rushing that beat a little bit. Slash was drunk off his ass and brilliant. And Axl, of course, was just a total ticking time bomb. And that friction created the fire. And his new tracks, they have zero friction. Perfectly quantized, perfectly tuned, so sterile you could lick Bavarian cream out of their crevices. There's no danger because there's no humanity. It's digital rock for a digital age, released by guys who used to pride themselves on being the last analog outlaws. And what did Slash say? In October 2025, right before this dropped, he told Guitar World, "There's so much material at this point, it's a matter of having the discipline to sit down and fucking get into it." He told fans to temper expectations about a full album. Translation, we aren't getting in a room together. We aren't writing. I'm just overdubbing old crap Axl sends me so we have an excuse to charge $300 or $3,000 for nosebleed seats in 2026. That's the reality. The new era of Guns N' Roses isn't a creative renaissance. It's a salvage operation. They're mining the vault of Axl's most embarrassing era, polishing the turds, slapping a featuring Slash sticker on them, and serving them up as a gourmet meal. So the visualizers for the songs dropped on YouTube. No music video, just a bunch of looping graphics. Another sign of the low effort. Another sign that nobody wanted to be in the same room to even shoot a video. You watch the view count tick up, but the engagement is weird. It's not the explosive viral moment of a band returning to form. It's a curiosity of people slowing down to look at a car crash. Nothin ends with that floaty keyboard fading out, leaving a bad taste in your mouth. Feels like you've been tricked. You wanted the steak and they gave you the gristle. And the physical release is coming December 12th, 7-inch vinyl, cassettes, Japan exclusives. They had the merchandise lined up perfectly. They had the pre-order links ready to go. The machine works fine. The commerce part of Guns N' Roses is operating at peak efficiency. It's just the art part that's kind of dead on arrival. It's almost tragic when you think about it. They just released nothing, literally nothing, and toured as a nostalgia act, and people would have been fine with it. We accept that the Stones aren't writing Gimme Shelter anymore. We accept that AC/DC isn't going to make the same album forever, or they kind of do, it just kind of runs through a meat grinder, but that's beside the point. But Guns N' Roses, they always promised to be different. Axl always acted like he was guarding some high artistic standard. That's why Chinese Democracy took so damn long. He wouldn't release it until it was quote-unquote perfect. And now, he's releasing stuff that wasn't good enough for the album that wasn't good enough. It's a yard sale, or liquidation of assets. Songs went live on Spotify. The playlists updated. The radio stations, the few that are left, gave them a pity spin. Yay! Here's the new one from Guns N' Roses, the DJ says, trying to sound excited. He plays Atlas. The song just kind of ambles along, going nowhere, doing nothing. It finishes. Dead air. He's like, oh, okay, here we go. Bam, Paradise City, he kicks in. Yay! The difference is humiliating. Paradise City explodes out of the speakers. Sounds like a freaking party or riot. Sounds like 5 guys who would kill for each other and kill each other at the same time. Atlas sounds like a board meeting. The fans started piecing it together immediately. They found the old leaked demos, compared the track listings. Atlas was definitely from the 2000s. Nothing was a rework of a track called the General Sessions or something similar. Confusing stuff from a confusing period, but the verdict was clear. This is old Axl. This is Axl trying to be Elton John and Trent Reznor at the same time and failing at both. And poor Duff, what the hell is he even doing on these tracks? You barely hear him. That signature bass sound, that grinding heavy tone with that pick attack that drives It's So Easy or Rocket Queen is buried under layers of mush. He's just there to cash the check, and honestly, who could blame him? If Axl's going to raid the archives, might as well get paid for it. And the week after the release, the silence from the band is deafening. No big press conference or interview where they sit down together and talk the magic of writing these songs. Because they can't. Because it didn't happen. Slash did a few phoners where he talked about the process in vague terms, always pivoting back to the tour. We're really excited to get out there and play again. Yeah, play Sweet Child of Mine for the millionth time. And the reality settles in. This is it. This is what we get. No new masterpiece. It's not going to be a return to that raw, stripped-down rock and roll that made them legends. There's only the content shoot. Then a few days later, the ticket pre-sales for the 2026 tour went live. Prices? Astronomical, just the way we would expect them to. After all, have you even seen the sizes of boxes of Barilla pasta these days? They're smaller now. Yay. Dynamic pricing kicked in. Now, there's a concept we didn't see in 1987, that's for sure. Floor seats are going for 4 figures, and people bought them. Of course they bought them. Because we're addicts. We're addicted to the idea of Guns N' Roses. We're addicted to that memory of what it felt like when we first heard that opening riff to Welcome to the Jungle. And the band knows it. They know they could serve us warmed over leftovers from Axl's basement and we'll still show up, hoping to catch a glimpse of the ghost. Nothing indeed. Smack that like button, smack the subscribe button, hype the living crap out of this, join the family. To my subs, you rock. To my patrons who watch all the shit I can't put up here on YouTube, you freaking rock. Thank you all for watching.